But I actually submitted my own budget to the city because I was talking to our councilman. And he made a lot of sense when he told me about cuts. He was at a celebration. And he said that he would prefer to cut where and allow managers from the city to cut their own. And I agree with him. I think managers at 40 years of managing people at a bank, they would tell me cut 20%. And it was up to me to cut. And at the same time, I had to raise my efficiency and my productivity for the customers and have an excellent customer service too. So somehow we did it. But going back to safety, this is the fire department, these are paramedics. I think what we're trying to say, and tell me if I'm wrong, we're saying don't cut, not 10%, not 1%, not for safety. Not for safety. And that's a big, asking you to help us with that. And the reason why, we're not throwing things at you, we're asking you to support us in representing us and saying, no tolerance for cut in regards to our safety. Cut cultural affairs. I saw city council, and there were a lot of people there saying, don't cut cultural affairs. Well, you know, some things we could do without, and cultural affairs may be one. I made a plan, and I didn't cut anything on community safety. Okay? I didn't cut anything on community investments and economy. Transportation, I did. I think some of the money that we're spending on redoing the freeways and so on, and putting extra lanes, we could do without right now. Okay? Right now it's a crisis. If I don't have money right now to do certain things, I'm going to start looking at the things that I need to do, not on the things that are luxury. Okay? Culture and education, rec services and so on, I cut it 10%. Okay? Went from 269 to 259 million. We're talking about million now. General administration support, I went there and cut it. We don't need a lot of this administrative support. In middle management, Jose, I talked to you about middle management. We have in the city, I'm sorry, but we have a lot of people in the city that just pass the buck. You know, you call somebody, and what do they tell you? Oh, you need to talk to my supervisor. You talk to the supervisor, or you need to talk to the assistant manager. All those people could be cut. And that's a lot of money, and you don't have to go through the union. They're not union. Okay, we don't have to deal with the unions. Okay? Employee benefits, don't cut them. You can't cut employee benefits. Those people need their benefits. Okay? Capital improvement expenditures, I did cut that from 234 to 224. Those are very little, and I don't mean layoffs. I mean cut that department and find out who else needs it. And what I told when I went to a department and he's saying we have to do what we have to do in a crisis. I was in charge of going to departments and cutting their expenses. So they would see me, and they would do the same thing, Jose, that you do to me when I go to city council. But the fact is, when laying off, and nobody wants to be laid off, okay? But if you don't lay off so many people, you're going to have to lay off the whole department. You know, if you don't have money to run the department, like us, we didn't have the money to run a bank or have the sufficient income, everybody would be out of a job. And that's the way I presented it to everybody, every department that I went to that hated me. But it could be done. The city has waited too long, and what the mayor says, we have to do it now. That's not our fault. That's our representatives that did not do their job when they were supposed to do it. And we can't put it all on you, but that's part of it. That's reality. They sat, everybody sat on their butts when they knew this was already coming 5 years ago.
More.
Okay? Since the 1980s, actually, 1985. With the tax reform of 1986, we knew that the market was not going to stand. We knew big businesses were going to run our country. We knew that the regulations were going to, they're going to rob us blind.
That's right.
And they did.
That's right.
Okay? So, just going back to this, even though, like the mayor said at council, we have no choice but to cut now. And he's just saying, just cut over here. He doesn't care who they are. Our fire department, our police department, that's not right. But he's saying, if we don't cut it, the decision is going to be made for us. And what he's talking about in the corporate world, if we didn't make those adjustments to keep the business alive, we're going to lose it. So what he's saying is, if we don't make those cuts, then we're going to lose the decision to make those cuts when we want to, where we want to. I don't think so. I don't agree with him. We have the time, but keep safety away. Do not cut safety. Do not cut our police, especially going forward. Going forward with the crisis, the unemployment is going to go higher. It's not going to go down. All the people that we have in our communities that don't have insurance, okay, they're going to need paramedics because they don't go to the doctor that often. Okay? The other thing that I'm going to tell you, let's not go back to the 70s. Now, I'm old enough to enjoy memories. Jose, in our neighborhood, I got a call one time in 1972. And they said there's a child screaming and yelling and we can't get anybody to come and help us. Okay, I went, found out that the child had drank gasoline. It was New Year's Eve, 2 blocks away from your house. You were probably home. I got him. 72.
4 years old.
I grabbed that child. That child was 2 years old. Yeah, I grabbed that child and the mother and put him in the car, took it to White Memorial. They said, we can't help them. They don't have insurance.
Yeah.
Okay?
That happened to me.
Then, what do? They said, take him to Children's Hospital. There were no paramedics. There were no ambulance. Guess what I had to do? Call LAPD, and this could happen. LAPD, I told them, meet me on the freeway. I will probably be running at 80, 90 miles an hour. I have a black and white 67 Mustang. Don't arrest me, don't stop me. Just help me get to the Children's Hospital. They did. I had 2 police officers, 2 squats that met me on the freeway and took me to Children's Hospital. If they wouldn't have done it, that child would have died because he already had the burns in his body coming out, the fumes. He was all spotted with, his pores were open already. But do you want us to do that now? If there's no paramedics to help us, we're going to have to do that. We have to get in somebody's car, call the police department and say, help us.
And you better
take
have
us
a
to
car.
an emergency.
We've already done that.
I don't want to take more of your time, but we don't want to go there. Okay? And let's not cut safety. There's no reason.